Okay, overall, we said selective toxicity. We have to have this safe. Even though it's safe in the lab, even though it's safe in mice, humans can be complicated, and sometimes things happen that we don't expect. That's why we roll drugs out in clinical trials and we test them on small populations before looking at them broadly. It's why we test adults first before we start dealing with children. There's so many developmental things. Things can happen. So toxicity, we can predict what we can, but it's still tough, poorly understood. Kidneys, liver are particularly susceptible to different things, nervous tissue from that. We've already mentioned polymyxin. Polymyxin is a drug that they use for that damages cell membranes, and that can be very toxic. Now, sometimes these side effects are not that bad. They're not fatally toxic. If it's fatal, obviously that means it's not a good drug. But what if we get some side effects that we can deal with? Can we deal with the side effects long enough for the drug to do its job? And that's what you're kind of weighing. When the side effects get so bad that the patient can't deal with it, you're doing more harm than good, then you need to find another method. There are some side effects that are okay. This picture, are you grossing out already? This picture is a what they call a condition called black hairy tongue. This is a side effect from some certain medications. This is actually not harmful. It's temporary. It happens while you're on the drug, but then your body gets rid of the drug and this goes away. But if you're not expecting this and you're taking a drug for something and you wake up in the morning to this, you're going to think you're dying. So it's important to know what the side effects may be so that you can monitor those. Can you deal with the side effects long enough for the drug to do its job? Now, there are some other side effects. Some side effects we know immediately. Some side effects don't become apparent until the drug has been in use for months or even years. Tetracycline was a drug that we used a lot in the 80s to combat teenage acne. Again, acne, these are infections on your face. You get those types of things. Tetracycline was used a lot from that. What we found over time was that the long-term use of tetracycline to fight acne got incorporated into teenagers developing bones and teeth. And this is what this is a picture of. And over time, this accumulation became a problem. So they don't use tetracycline to treat acne anymore. There are some much safer drugs out there. But again, safety and side effects. This is the number one thing. We don't want to cause harm to our patients, and it's sometimes very difficult to predict. They do their best. In the safety category is allergies. Sometimes a particular person has a hyperimmune response and their body reacts differently to those drugs. This is something that would be difficult. Penicillin may be great for some people, but if it's going to cause you to go into anaphylactic shock and potentially die, it's not a good drug for you. All right, so keep that in mind under safety and side effects. The other thing is that disruption of normal microbiota. Any drug, those broad spectrum antibiotics, anytime we disrupt our normal microbiota, we can be causing problems. We interrupt that microbial antagonism. We get opportunistic secondary infections. Yeast, we've talked about Clostridium difficile. This is a endospore forming bacteria that normally many of us carry it and we're just fine. Our immune system keeps it in check. Our other microbiome keeps it in check. But in the hospitals where they're giving you some heavy-duty antibiotics where you're already sick with something else, it can overgrow and result in a disease called pseudomembranous colitis, which can be very difficult to treat.